Good evening, all of my beautiful, wonderful, caffeine-addicted, gremlin-like little amazing sugar-munching humans. My fellow brethren, I should say. Today we are going to be reading some pretty different types of stories. We are going to be checking out r-traumatize them back. Not gonna lie, I've been reading a few of these and I may have actually been extremely interested. Yeah. So, our first story that we are checking out is I am not pregnant, it's a tumor. ... Accidentally traumatized. Okay, so I have a giant tumor in my abdomen and pelvis. So I'm also fairly slim, so it's noticeable at this point. I'd had a biopsy, but they sent me for a CT scan to see if it had spread to my chest. Oh my. I don't know if you've had a CT scan before or not, but they all have all the little boxes you have to tick to say whether you're pregnant or not, because it could harm the baby. Yeah, I've had one of those before. They're not fun either. But also, I'm there literally because of the giant tumor in my abdomen. I tick the boxes that I'm definitely not pregnant and date of last period, etc. Excuse me. So I go in, I lay on the table thing, and the doctor looks at my face, at my abdomen, at his papers, and starts shuffling through them. Again, looks at my face, my abdomen, back at his papers. I lay there thinking, please don't. Surely it says on there, please don't do this. And sure enough, are you sure you're not pregnant? Oh my fudging God. I do personally believe that a woman would know whether or not she is carrying or with child. However, we're going to give this obviously not too smart man a benefit of the doubt. It's a tumor. He looked horrified and apologized profusely, but I burst out laughing because it was so awkwardly funny. I felt terrible, so I kept apologizing back. But it was so hard trying to stop laughing at the absolute horror on his face. I'm 100% sure that poor man will remember me for years to come, and I'm very sorry. This has become a common theme in my life right now. People thinking I'm pregnant and me word vomiting. Actually, it's a tumor. It's getting awkward, but if they'd stop commenting on strangers' bodies. Oh, yes. 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 Oh, golly. Why do I love this so much? I should not love this so much. But yes! Oh, God. Oh, is it bad that I'm sitting here thinking that it would be just absolutely hilarious if she just looked up, yeah, actually I am pregnant, but I'm only like 2, 3, 4 weeks, the baby has a giant tumor. No, that's not even funny. I don't know why I tried that. That's awful. Uh, this one is literally just titled "Smile!" exclamation point. When I was 18, 19, female, when you were female, are you male now? I don't want to know. I don't really care, to be completely honest. When I was 18, 19, I was part of a get ready for work project after I finished school in the UK. It was staffed by generally nice people, but there was one older guy who was, well, I don't really think he thought things through before he spoke, and he was a bit sexist. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, one day I received news that a friend of mine had died, and he had been caught up in a fight as a bystander, and he had been stabbed to death. I was devastated and horrified. While still grieving, I went to the project building. It was attendance based, so I couldn't really take many days off, and it was a Friday. I hoped to just get through the day so I could grieve properly over the weekend. Once I arrived, guess who I run into first? I have clearly been crying and I look utterly miserable. He simply says, "You should smile, sweetheart. You look like someone died." Oh my sweet heaven, this man is obviously stupid. I wasn't even thinking. I was just shocked. I burst into tears again and loudly said, "Someone just did." Then I made my way to the toilets to cry. His manager had seen the whole thing from his office and called the guy in for a chat. By the time I came out of the toilets, the guy was gone. Myself and the other teens taking part in the project had no idea where the guy was. Even his car was gone. Apparently, that was the last straw for the manager and he'd been fired. Ooh. Honestly, he kind of deserved it. To be fair, the last thing that you should ever say to anybody who is obviously upset is, "Oh, you should smile, honey." Bite me. Golly. Absolutely not. Ugh. Ugh. Checkout lady winged about grumpy old man. What? Checkout lady. I'm gonna. Whinged? Whinged? Is this from the UK? It must be from the UK. They're saying whinged. Okay. About grumpy old man. I informed her his mum just died. Oh. During COVID-19, my dad would pick me up and we'd do trips to the local hardware store as I was renovating my house, and he needed an excuse to get out of his. Unfortunately, during this time, his mother had passed away, and it was not unexpected, as she was 101, but it was still a shock as she generally was in good health, and due to the nursing home rules, we weren't allowed to go in and see her, which made the situation even harder. She died in the early morning, and later that day, my dad needed to go get his mind off some things, so he asked if I wanted to go to the hardware store. I agreed, obviously. Now, at this point, we'd been going to the same shop nearly every second day for months. It was a small town, and it wouldn't be unlikely that people had seen us there together before. This particular day, both my dad and I ended up making purchases. He lined up ahead of me while I flicked through a magazine, and when it came time to pay, he tried to open his loyalty app rather than using the card, and the internet app was slow. So he got frustrated and ended up just using the card. The checkout lady had been rolling her eyes while he tried to get the app working and told him to be patient. To which he replied he was all out of patience, and her response was that she could see that. He paid and walked out to the foyer, and I stepped forward. I didn't say anything, but I just gave her a big smile, to which she rolled her eyes and started complaining about my dad. "Grumpy old man, I don't have any patience, blah blah blah." I just raised my eyebrows as if to encourage her to continue. She did. And she complained about him for the whole transaction, said he should stay home if he's in a bad mood. Why do all old men have to be grumpy and miserable, etc.? As I paid, I simply told her that that's my dad and his mum died this morning. She was stunned. She had no words, and I simply picked up my things and left. We continued to go to that store as regularly as before, but she wouldn't even make eye contact with us after that. Well, maybe she shouldn't be a... Yes. I don't even want to say the word. Meh. Don't believe I'm disabled? Question mark. Watch me. This happened a few years ago in 2022. I am physically disabled. I got a placard for my car and a wheelchair at 18. At the time of this event, I was 23, but I looked younger. One day, I was at my local Walmart and trying to go about my life. I was parked in a handicap spot and was walking towards my trunk to get my wheelchair out. I'm only a part time user. Okay. And this elderly woman looked in her 70s, sees me at the parking spot while I was sitting down in my chair. She comes up to me and starts ranting at me about how I'm lazy and that I'm too young to need a chair and a parking spot. Excuse me. That I'm stealing the spot from someone who really needs it. Huh? This man does really need it. He's a wheelchair user. Whatever. I kept trying to explain to her that I'm disabled and needed both the spot and the chair, but she kept yelling over me. At this point, she had called me lazy, fat, and a bunch of slurs that I'm not comfortable repeating. She finally says, "Prove you're disabled. Prove you need this spot more than a real disabled person." So I do. I start to manually dislocated my left shoulder, followed by the sum of my fingers and wrist. I even went and started to do the same to my knee before she told me to stop. She asked if I was crazy. That is disgusting for me to do that in front of her. What? I looked up and said, "Believe I'm disabled now." She walked away. Before people ask, I have EDS, so I'm lax in my joints and I can purposely dislocate most of them. It is not something I do on purpose often. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. This is, okay, so, the thing is that EDS is one of those things. It's like, you definitely need to have your wheelchair, especially if it's like far progressed, because your joints can literally slip out of place on their own without you trying. So popping them in and out and just like acting a fool would not be that difficult. However, it's kind of fudging great that he did this just to mortify this little old lady who's all like, that is an awesome way to stop a Karen meltdown, and I love it. Oh my god. That is awesome. OP, you are never an a-hole. That was the best thing that I have ever read. I'm gonna be completely honest. Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes. You put yourself here? Why, yes, I did. Traumatized. This was about 3 years ago. I was 6 months pregnant with my son and had to be tested 3 different times for gestational diabetes. And if you've never had the pleasure of taking this particular test, you have to drink a gross syrup drink and wait an hour and have your blood drawn. And if you fail, you have to take the test again, but you have to fast for 24 hours prior, have to wait 2 hours before the blood draw, and this was my second time having to do the test, and I was over it. I can imagine. But I knew it was needed. The time comes for the phlebotomist? I'm going to go with phlebotomist, but I don't know if I'm saying this right, to take my blood draw. When she mentions that I had been here before, I said, "Yeah, it sucks. I've had to do this twice, but what are you going to do?" She, in a nasty tone, replied, "Well, you put yourself here. What did you expect?" Little did she know, my husband and I had 3 miscarriages prior to this pregnancy, so my child was very much wanted and not an oops baby. I replied, well, yeah, I guess after having lost 3 pregnancies, one of which was twins, I guess you can say I did put myself here. I've never seen someone shut up so fast. Okay, first off, congratulations. I'm glad that you are having a healthy pregnancy. I completely understand where you were coming from, but wow. You know what? This is kind of like this is okay because this is like dark humor. This is like her like using her trauma to give herself humor so that she can get through this situation with this evil, mean, horrifyingly awful nurse. So, yes, I approve. I 100% approve. Oh my gosh. So, I don't know how to say this, but that may be quite sad, to be completely honest. I really wish that I had ran into more happy. Well, we found a few happy ones, we found a few really not so happy ones. These were all honestly just some pretty awesome, cool stuff to read. Let me know what you guys think about any of this stuff down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. This is obviously the best YouTube channel you've ever been to. You guys have an awesome evening, a great night, a beautiful everything else, and I shall see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.